The question that all personal trainers love to hate. If I start lifting weights, will I start getting bulky? Personal trainers usually answer, no, it's impossible. You can't get too bulky lifting weights by accident, and that's not entirely true. I actually know people, women, who got bigger muscles than they wanted to when they started working out, and they started getting that bulky look, and they didn't really want it. They just followed the training plan. But you know what they did then? They just altered the training plan, and their muscles didn't look so bulky anymore after a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks. So it's not impossible. It's rare, but it's not impossible. And if it does happen, it's very easy to undo. And every person who's walking around with huge bulky muscles that they've trained to get pretty much looks like that because they want to look like that. And the great thing about weight training, lifting heavy weights, is that you can use those weights to get into pretty much whatever shape you want to be within reason. You can't change the shape of your skeleton, but you can change the shape and size and proportion and cross-sectional area of your muscles. But it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and if you start to see things going in the wrong direction, according to your own opinion, you can undo it very quickly. So it's a bit like drowning in the bath. It's not like nobody ever drowned in the bath, but it's pretty rare that it's going to happen. And if it does start happening, if you notice that you're just starting to maybe move towards a situation where you're going to drown in the bath, you can pretty quickly and easily undo that situation. And if you're avoiding having baths altogether and just not washing because you're worried about drowning in the bath, you should probably start not worrying so much about drowning and start having baths. Same as with weight training. If you're avoiding the idea of weight training completely because you're worried about putting on muscle, you should probably stop worrying about that and just start doing it, because the health benefits of lifting weights and putting on muscle far outweigh the potential risk of not looking quite how you want to look. And in addition to that, I have a couple of other maybe counterintuitive things to say about it. First of all, in my experience, most people who start putting on a bit of muscle kind of like it, but they only like it after the fact. Because what muscle on your body represents is not just the way you look in the mirror, but also your capability and strength, all of the work that you've put in, your mental resilience. And it's a way of wearing all of that stuff on the outside. And most people who start to put on a bit of muscle, once they've got to the other side of that, they start to realize how much better they feel and how much better they feel in themselves. But it's very difficult to convince someone of that before it's happened. So you have to get someone there. And that's difficult because you have to have this sort of identity shift. If you've always looked a certain way, let's say you always wore a certain type of clothing, and I suddenly said, oh, you've got to start wearing sort of jazzy colors if you're like me and you always wear black or white. The idea of wearing a pink stripy top is just, oh, I don't really want to do that. And it's got very little to do with how you think it's beneficial for your health or anything like that. It's more to do with just, it feels a little bit weird and different. The idea of looking different to how you've always looked. But once you've become that person that looks that way, suddenly that becomes your new normal, and it becomes very empowering to you, and you can identify with that image because it's what's staring back at you in the mirror. So this is part of the reason it's really important to be able to let go of identities that aren't doing you any good. So this is especially true for women, because most men aren't averse to the idea of putting on a bit of muscle, but a lot of women are. And there's all sorts of like cultural factors and things that go into that. But my answer to that is, some people think women should be weak, and I don't. I think men and women should be strong, and muscles are there to be worked, and muscles are there to be used and to be strong and to be a way of displaying your resilience and capability and strength. So it may be a little bit different to how you've always been, but I don't think that's a good excuse for preferring to remain weak. It might be worth investigating where you're getting your ideas about how your body should look and whether they're doing you any good. Because who says having bulky muscles looks bad anyway? If you can get amongst people who are strong and capable and physically fit along with you and make it normal to be muscular and capable and skillful and fit, then maybe the idea of looking that way won't seem so unappealing to you. If you value strength, resilience, capability, skill, consistency, growth, and all these kinds of things, but you're scared of the idea of showing that in your embodiment, in your physicality, then I want to encourage you to stop comparing yourself to people who would prefer you to be weak and to not stand out from the crowd. And remember, the answer to every question is to stop asking questions until you start doing things in the real world. And so, if you haven't yet got too bulky by accident, give it a go. See if you can do it. See if you can try and put on too much muscle. It's a perfectly reversible situation if you end up doing it. So why not try? Prove me wrong. Maybe you are one of the rare people who can accidentally get too big, whatever too big is. But I bet you're not. And you're much more likely to accidentally get fit, strong, and in a good shape that you actually want to be as you make the push to gain more muscle. And as you're on that journey of muscle building and increasing your strength and capability and skill, you come across any problems or you have any questions, please let me know. Please send them my way and I'll see if I can answer your questions in a post like this. See ya.